Hey everybody, welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. So if you're new in this channel, we talk about divorce recovery and sometimes also dating after divorce related tips. So why I talk about this stuff, 2.5 years ago, I lost my job and my marriage in the same month. So now you see me smiling, laughing, all of that. I was in a very dark place. So it took me a while to get out of there. And then I help people now with these YouTube videos, there's meetup events, and also books. So without further delay, we are going to get started in today's topic. So if you're in the early part of your journey, use your separation as a preparation. Separation as a preparation. I'll make a different video about that. But one thing, if you are you worked on yourself and you're now going out in the dating world, the dating works very differently now than when you were single. Let's say you were in 20s, you didn't have any kids and all of that stuff. It's very different. So today's topic is about dating. A lot of videos I cover about earlier stages, but if you want to, go ahead and check the playlist. Different playlists are for different things. But this one is related to dating after divorce. So what happens is, before if you're in a long-term relationship or you were married for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, as a lot of people I talk to, including myself, when I went through the experience, I was with my ex for 12 years married and 14 years together because we dated for 2 years before getting married. We didn't even know what love language meant, or the word love language itself, we have never heard, right? So why I talk about this so much, I also mention it in my book, is because imagine, so I'm going to give an extreme example, and don't think it's a racist example or anything, but I have to use the, extreme example so that you get the point. Let's say you speak in English, and that's the only language that you can speak and understand. And the other person speaks Chinese, and that's the only language they understand, right? So if you guys try to talk to each other, what will happen? Today's day there is AI, there is Google you can use, but just for a second, forget that those things exist and you try to talk. What is going to happen? There will be the two people can't understand each other, right? So life is not that extreme. When you get with somebody, of course there will be some commonality. You would like each other's interests and whatnot. That's how you will start dating. But the problem is, so there are 5 love languages. If you don't know yet, I would highly encourage you to look it up on Google, on ChatGPT, wherever you find it. Gary Chapman, he came up with this 5 love languages thing, and you can actually take the test on Google. It used to be free. Now I think it takes $15, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it. And there are 5 of them: quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, gift giving, and acts of service, right? So this 5. Now what happens is, a lot of time for people, it is upside down, literally. And so if it is upside down, what do you think? When you're trying to love each other, it's going to create clash, right? And if you can find a person where both of the love language matches, that's actually really, really good. Because what happens is, when life is stressful, which is a lot of time either through your job or whatnot, when life is stressful and people want to feel loved, if 2 people are looking to feel loved the same way, it is just easier, right? Think of when you're stressed, would you try to understand the Chinese word to understand the person? Again, I'm using this as an extreme example. Don't say that it's a racist example, okay? So the point is that, but if both people are speaking Chinese or both people are speaking English, that means it just becomes easier for them, right? Another thing on that point is that as you start dating, this love language part is important. Also, you have to remember that love that forms between you two is a living, breathing thing. It's a living, breathing thing that your first baby, if you decide to have kids, your first baby is not actually your first baby. Your first baby is that love, right? Is the first baby is that love. You did hear me accurately what I said, because it is that thing that grows when you give sunlight, water, fertilizer. Those are like date night, and you do something for the other person and whatnot. And when you don't do that, it dies. When you don't do that, it dies. So your first baby is the love that is formed between both of you. And when you don't feed it, right? You don't feed it, eventually it dies. So that is a part you got to remember. And the best way to feed is, of course, with the love language. And there are a few other things if you're dating after divorce, which we won't dive deep into this video because there are different videos for different things. Is that the value, your long-term values need to match with the other person. Now, it doesn't have to fully match. The point is, if somebody is very personal growth oriented, very driven, very personal growth oriented, and where the other person is, they just like to go with the flow. They don't like to do that thing, and there is nothing wrong with it. It's just a different personality and how people have grown, how they grow up and whatnot. So, because even in a relationship, when two people grow apart so much that even after being together for 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, they have decided to get out of that marriage, because it's a big decision, right? It's a big decision with kids and whatnot. So that means they have changed. So people are growing. Now the thing is, are they growing together in the same direction, or they're growing in two different directions? And more than likely, people are getting separated or divorced. They're growing in two different directions. So next time when you go for a relationship, it is important to understand that your first baby, as you start dating, not the person you meet just one date, 2 dates. Your first baby is when you both decide that, okay, this is worth pursuing for a long-term relationship, and you keep feeding that baby, meaning the love, and see where it goes, right? Only then you'll know that is that something that baby can grow in a healthy environment. And take your time. There is no rush. There is no rush in life. Because sometimes what also ends up happening, if you rush, you are going to find somebody who is similar to the other person you just got out of the relationship from. It is not because you want to, because that's how our brain works. It goes for the familiar pain instead of the unknown peace. Literally, it goes for the familiar pain instead of the unknown peace. Okay, so take your time, go out on dates and see how it works, and the values, love language, talk about it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it, right? And to me, it is mind-boggling that why for jobs and interviews we like the companies grill the people, and the people find out enough about the company, they read up and whatnot. But when you are trying to find your partner, why are you not talking about the love languages and all of that, right? And I know that the way our brain works and the heart works is a little bit different, but more we learn from the experiences, more we learn from reading and whatnot. Just try to apply it. Try to apply it, because if anything is in the book and you're not applying it, there is no good reading and learning about it, right? So you can read about how to drive a car, and if you never tried it, you won't be able to drive the car. It's like a similar type of examples, right? So it is, because when you ever feel it, it is worth doing whatever you can to make it work, and for it to grow, right? Because and I'm fortunate that I did have that we had a good long run before we grew apart, so I'm very grateful for that. So I hope you did too. But for the next relationship, make sure you look for the love language, the value, long-term values, do the match, and the life stage, which I also read that it's very, very important. So if you're in your life stage or you're early in separation versus somebody is divorced for 5 years, there will be clash. Generally speaking, not everybody's relationship is going to be the same thing, but talk about it, openly talk about everything, and then you may end up with real love again. So good luck. Take care. Bye.